if you would like, there's some seats in the overflow area where the Meet the Candidates was. So if you would like to sit, you can go over in that room. There's two seats right here, if anybody needs two seats. And there's one seat right here. Oh, yeah, two right there.
There's a lock on the... Oh, there we go. Pull that thing up, the back one, Pull it up. There you go.
Well, hey, Carolina. Yes. Don't get too close. These pick up.
So right here works?
Maybe just a hair closer.
This close?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, you can start? Okay. Can you hear me like this? Does that work? Okay. Okay, I do talk really loud. Corey, are we good? All right, guys, we're going to get started, and I've been told to talk loud, and I talk really loud. So if it gets really loud, just tell me, but we're going to get started. Good evening, everybody. My name is Carolina Herron, and I live in Spanish Fork. I apologize, I don't know many of you or any of them. I know one person here so far, two, okay. But I love politics. Some people call me a political junkie. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Apparently, we're all political junkies. We like to be here on our, today is Monday night, so fun times. But we'll get going. We've had the drawings done, so this is going to be the way it's going to be set up. So we'll have Scott at number 1, Claudia at number 2, Dallas at number 3, Theron at number 4. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have 5 different categories with the questions in those 5 categories. And those are going to be public safety, growth and development, infrastructure, budget and finance, and then transparency and communication. And within those categories, we're going to have a general question where that question will be addressed for all the 4 candidates. Then we're going to have each question specifically for each candidate within that category, okay? So we're going to go between 1 minute and 30 seconds and 2 minutes. Jessica here is going to be our timekeeper, okay? I'm going to let her know what the question is, if it's going to be 1 minute 30 or 2 minutes, and she's going to raise the yellow card when we're down to 30 seconds. And then she's going to do the red card when we're done with that time, okay? So what I ask of you guys is to please help us out. We're also going to have an audio to the time. So when you see that red card, if you could just be respectful of our time and your time and just be done with answering that question, okay? All right, I think we'll get started. So the very first thing we're going to do is a 2 minutes with candidate introductions, and we're going to start with Scott over here for 2 minutes.
Great. It's on? Can you hear me? Where's the button? First time up here.
Sorry. There you go.
There we go. Great start. Does that count against my time?
No, you can start now.
I cannot talk about myself for 2 minutes.
You're down to 10 seconds, Scott.
All right, excellent. Hi, my name's Scott Leggett. I've lived in Mapleton for 12 years. I have 5 children, 4 girls and 1 boy. If you're wondering why I have very little hair, it's because I have 4 girls
and one boy. And so I love Mapleton. I think it's a great community. I love our community spirit. I'm excited to see how many people have come out tonight. I don't know if there's been this much excitement around an election recently. I think it's really good to see all the community support. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to be up here today. This isn't my kind of thing. I don't like to talk about myself for 2 minutes. But I do want to run for mayor because I think we have a lot of potential as a community. I think there's a lot of people that would like us to see it continue to preserve our charm and our community. And I think that there's just some adjustments that we can make to do that, and I think it'd be great. I think the previous administration has done a good job. Dallas, I'm not an anti-Dallas candidate. I just think it's good to have a change of scenery and a change of pace, and I do feel like I'm qualified. I've run a company for last 15 years, and I'm currently just in a transition between careers. But I was the president, CEO, and chairman of the board of that company. It was an international company. And so I understand how to get things done, how to make deals, how to negotiate, how to make things work, and how to bring everybody to the table in a win-win type situation. So I'm excited to be here, and hopefully this will be kind of fun for everyone. So it's terrifying up here, but I don't know how it is over there. But anyway, so thanks for coming.
All right, Scott, thank you. We're going to move on to Claudia now, so 2 minutes for an introduction.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claudia Paradise. If you want to know where I come from, I always say from heaven, but first I stop in Bolivia, South America, if you don't know where is that. I am the proud mom of 4 kids. I am right now doing my internship as a marriage and family therapist. So I am an excellent listener, and that is one of the reasons that I'm here. I love this town. I have only lived here for 4 years. Yet I have seen the greatness of the people, the citizens, and the charm of this town. I used to live in Harriman. It was busy, hectic. Driving to work was horrific. And I do not want that for our city. We do deserve better. I do not have any conflicts of interest. I don't own any business. I am not a real estate agent. I am just your neighbor. I am just a mom that I take away time of my kids and my family and the priorities and other priorities because I love this town and I want to make a difference. That's why I'm here. And that's why everybody's asking me, why are you running? Because I care enough. Because I want to make sure that this is the best town to live in the entire state of Utah. Many, will ask, what are your credentials? First, I'm a mom. That's a big credential for me. I deal with a lot of conflict on a general basis, and I am excited to show what I can do. We have never elected a woman in Mapleton, and I think it's time for a change. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to Dallas, 2 minutes for introductions.
All right, there we go. I grew up in Stephenville, Texas, moved to Utah, ended up in Mapleton almost 20 years ago. Extremely grateful that I did. When I moved here, I fell in love with this place. There was a reason why. All of you can relate. Couldn't really figure out why. So we got to work after it to figure out why. And recently we did the rebranding of the city to figure that out. We went through 20 interviews of people that were born and raised here. We went through interviews of people who had barely moved here. And we figured out small town, big heart. And we captured why it is we all love this place. And that's what we did. I believe that we do need a business person in charge of this city. I believe that it's very critical. My reputation speaks for itself. I will introduce you to any business partner I've had in 22 years. I'll introduce you to anybody that's worked for me, and I would love for you to talk to them and ask them how they've been treated as a human, how they've been treated as an employee, a business partner. I have nothing to hide, and I think that that's critical. I have guarded my reputation with my life. And so everybody asks me, why in the heck are you doing this? Because you're just taking all this heat, and people that know me know that it's false. But I'm doing it because I am so invested in this community from a personal standpoint. I know a lot of people in this community, and the people make the community good. I know that. This is a beautiful place with a mountain, but without the people, the feeling's not there. You can watch all the interviews and the videos that we did. We finished a 32-minute heritage video. I hope you take the time to watch it. It tells you the story of Mapleton. It tells you why there's a feeling here. Now, I think that we do need someone with a track record, and I think the track record is important. If there's one thing I can say, it is find out who these candidates are. Do your homework. It is critical. You want to know the character of these people. You want to know, we're going to get into some transparency stuff, and I'm excited. I can't wait. You want someone that's got relationships they can leverage in business. I've done that by hiring a new judge in Springville with Matt Packard, who was the president of Central Bank for 30 years. I've worked with him for 20 years. So that is very critical in our city with the growth that's coming at us.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Theron now with a 2-minute introduction, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Theron Garrett. My wife and I moved here just almost 16 years ago, and for the same exact reason Dallas stated, because we felt something different here, and we both grew up on ranches. I like to say this in public. I grew up in New Mexico, and she grew up in Old Mexico, in the LDS colonies down there. So both of us have this country feel as our childhoods, and so that's what drew us here. My job, I work at BYU. My background is in mechanical and manufacturing engineering, and also my dad owned a diesel and small engine mechanic shop as I grew up, so I have automotive experience. My current job at BYU is the director over transportation and manufacturing services, which is a bunch of different shops and facilities dealing with fleet and as well as R&D, manufacturing and mechanical engineering. My reasoning for being here tonight started about 10 years ago when I volunteered for an activity in the city and just kind of got this bug to help in the community and community service. I shortly after got asked to be the CERT director in town by Chief Jackson and filled that role for a little while. And then they strong-armed me to come and drive the ambulance. They told me I could drive the ambulance. So I was like, me? You're going to let me drive the ambulance? So that's what I did. I started in there. I've been doing EMT firefighter for the last 5-6 years, well, 8 years now. And I just felt like there was a need. So I got on the planning commission. I was appointed on the planning commission. I'm in my second term on city council, and I feel like the city needs a fresh breath, and I feel like I've prepared myself to be the guy to step into that role, and that's why I'm here today.
All right, thank you. And audience, you guys did a great job. There was no clapping, no excitement, but now that they're done, we can all clap because the first category is over. So thank you for that. We're going to move on to our first group question, and what we're going to do is Scott answer that question first. So as we go through the questions, we're going to go in order. So the first answer to this one is going to start with Claudia, and then we'll go down the line and just keep going that way, okay? So our first group question is, if you could tell us, and I know some of you did this in the introduction, but who you are, what your background is, and why that background is relevant to you as your position as mayor, and why you're running. So like your current position now with your work, your job, your career, how that plays into the function as mayor, okay? So we're going to do that for 1 minute and 30 seconds each, and we're going to start with Claudia.
Thank you. Okay, so besides being a mom, which everybody knows already, I went to college at BYU, Hawaii, and I majored in hospitality and tourism management. I worked for the Ritz-Carlton Corporation for many years as a manager, and I loved every moment of it. I eventually got married and I had kids, and I chose to stay home because I knew that was the most important job that I could do. After that, and while my girls were going to school, I got a license as a real estate agent. That was in Florida, no here, so don't worry. And after that, I moved to Utah. I pursued a career as a paralegal, so I have knowledge of the legal system here in the state and in the federal level. And after that, I remarried. I was divorced, got divorced, remarried, and moved here to Mapleton with my husband. Since then, I am currently enrolled in a Master's of Marriage and Family Therapy. I am currently doing my last year. And my main focus is to take care of our community. I see what not taking care of our community can do in my job, and I am ready to listen for the needs of the people, and I want to listen to them. I think we need to educate our community more in choices and decisions that as city we're making, and I think that's very important for me, and I think a good mayor will be able to listen and follow what the people needs.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Dallas, 1 minute and 30 seconds.
All right, I like business. That's what I do. I'm involved in business in a lot of different industries and whatnot, and I pride myself in knowing how to work with people, knowing how to negotiate, how to get things done, how to move things quickly and not go slow, even if it is government. I've done a lot of contracts with different industries all throughout from Louisiana to the west side of the United States. I've done a lot of different states. Running this city is similar to a business. We have $19.5 million of enterprise funds that comes in every single year to currently today, and then we have about $13.7 million in a general fund that's got to be managed. We have been net positive every single year by at least $250,000, and our general fund has increased every single year. And in fact, we've gotten docked on an audit because our general fund's grown too high. And so that's a good thing, in case you're wondering. That leaves us extra cash for a rainy day and puts us in a better position for the future with something coming about. So a mayor is not a king. A mayor doesn't get to choose. You can do this, you can do that, you can do that. What happens is you have 5 city council members. Theron's been one for 6 years. They vote on every legislative action. They vote on the dollars spent in this city. They are the voters. Yes, we need a mayor that knows how to work with people and bring people together and guide and find a vision and figure out what that is and then lead them and educate, and then they make the decision. And so I think that's a very clear thing. You don't get to just wave your wand and get what you want and say yes or no. The council has to vote. That's how this city government works. And it's great because it leaves it up to a council. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dallas. We're going to move on to Theron, 1 minute and 30 seconds.
So I think I covered a lot of this in my intro, who I am, my occupation. I originally got an associate's degree. I grew up in a mechanic world in the oil fields of New Mexico, and I got an associate's in welding engineering, and then somebody convinced me to go to school and finish my engineering degree, which was not what my plan was. But because of that, I was able to learn, and I also got a business minor when I did my bachelor's degree. I got to learn how to run a business, and Dallas is exactly right. A city is run like a business. We have expenditures and we have revenue, and we have lots and lots of moving parts. So you got to know what it is to do to run a business, to run the city. I think though that there's a little bit of a twist. It's definitely a city. We have, just like he said, $20 million in our enterprise funds and just under $14 million in our general fund. That's our budget. That's the budget for the Mapleton, which is not a lot of money. We live on a small budget when it comes to all the things that we need to do. My goal when I become mayor is to revisit that and where we sit. I grew up on a tight budget. I have to run a family budget. I think the city should run the same way, and we should live within our means. And I think we should do it smart and budget that money wisely to the same standards that any family has to uphold. And that's it.
All right, we're going to move on to Scott, 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Great. As I mentioned before, I have a business background. I agree with Dallas. I think that the city needs a person with good business skills and good negotiation skills. Before I worked at my last company, I actually worked at BYU in the purchasing department, where I negotiated $1 million deals for the university. I bought their production truck. I worked on their broadcast building. I did a lot of things for them. And then I was recruited to work for Cure Creek Distribution, where I served initially as CEO, and then the owner stepped down and appointed me as president, and then I was appointed as chairman of the board. So I have a lot of experience. I was an international company that I had to be able to we worked with independent reps for our sales force in the United States, and then outside we used distributors. So I'm accustomed to working with outside forces in order to build a brand and in order to build the things that we're doing. Was able to have record-setting sales year after year after year for 14 straight years. So I think that's important, and we were able to grow in a way that we had never grown before. We surpassed all the growth goals that they had ever had. I think we need those kind of skills in the city. I think we need people who can negotiate, find middle ground, and find out what people want and be able to deliver it. And so,
All right, thank you. Now we're done with that question. We're going to move on to the next group question, and this one's going to be for 2 minutes, and we're going to have Dallas start with this one first. So if you could please list specific ways in which you are familiar with how our local government works and how that has prepared you to serve as our mayor.
It's a great question. 10 years ago, if you asked if I was going to be the mayor, I'd laugh in your face and tell you there's no chance ever. So I had a lot to learn. City government's a little bit different than business. The accounting is different. It's actually a little bit skewed from what business is because a government shouldn't make money. The whole point in being in business is to make money. So irrigation company, luckily our settlers in Mapleton settled water here, got the water, fought for it from Strawberry. It's a vital, vital resource we have, the Strawberry water, which comes through our Mapleton Irrigation District. I spent the first 6 months and settled an agreement, negotiated with them that they spent 7 years prior trying to get done with attorneys from Arizona and Salt Lake. 6 months I worked with the irrigation company, got it done. The middle school, that land, we had bought it. We paid $1 million too much for it. I went to the school district, renegotiated the deal, got all the value back, plus $250,000, plus school resource officer money, guaranteed for 10 years that Nebo School District's never done in the history of Nebo School District. They do it year by year. They don't give it to you if you don't have a high school. We don't have a high school. We got 10 years guaranteed. We're in the 7th year. Pressurized irrigation. Everybody said when I was sitting there, I didn't have pressurized irrigation. I still don't. Everybody said, you're going to get it, you're going to get it. Well, come to find out, we've never done an infrastructure study in this city until I got here. We have done every master plan with every single utility we have in the city to build out. You got to know what the population is going to look like, which means you have to have a general plan. So we redid the general plan, brought all the public in, said, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Got all the community input, put it together, put it in a box, said, okay, that's our general plan. That's the guidance to Planning Commission. That's the guidance to City Council. Move forward. Now we can study our infrastructure. What size water lines do we need? What kind of sewer we need? Therefore, we've done that. Fire department. I have had at least 12 people stand at this pulpit over the last 7 years and thank me for doing what I did because we saved their lives. They went from 19 to 20-minute response time to 4 to 5-minute response time. Theron's witnessed this, he's been there. And it's a wonderful thing in our city, and it is crucial. We have put the funds there that have needed to have the absolute best fire equipment, best life-saving equipment, and best people. And that has saved lives, and people come, and I get to witness it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Theron. So 2 minutes for this one.
Specific ways that I'm familiar with the city and how it's run and the government of the city. I've worked a lot of years and trying to figure that out. Being on the Planning Commission and then as a council member and being a volunteer firefighter in the EMT, I have spent dozens of hours a month for the last 10 years trying to learn the systems of the city and learn the different departments. And I feel like I have a really good grasp, enough that little shy me feels comfortable running for mayor. I feel like I've learned that much about every department in the city. Just like Dallas said, there's lots of moving parts to the city, from infrastructure to looking forward 20 years and what the city needs to in order to be in 20 years and where we are infrastructure-wise. From pressurized irrigation to what are our water sources and are we going to have enough water at build-out, and the fire department and the police department, what are we going to need to protect our citizens and bring those medical services to our citizens. Those are the things that I've been working in for 10 years, trying to learn them and try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I believe that I'm prepared to step into this role with my wheels spinning and hit the ground and ready to step into that role. I've been asked to about questions from everything from salaries of staff to HR issues to what are we going to do when we get a 100-year storm and we don't have a stormwater system to drain the water out of the city. Those are all systems and problems and things that I've been able to learn over the last 6 years on the council and 3 years prior to that on the Planning Commission and in my volunteer work on the fire department. So that's specifically all the things that I've done to prepare for this.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to Scott now, 2 minutes.
Well, one thing I learned about as I visited with city employees and tried to get a feel for what it takes to run the city government is that it's a difficult task, and I'm sure I would be just like Dallas was 8 years ago. I have not run a city government. That's a completely different animal, but there are intersections of skills and abilities that you bring to the table. I think what's important is that you're able to learn quickly, which I think Dallas was able to do. He was able to get in there and learn quickly what needed to be done and how things work. As far as that goes internationally, I had to learn and obey by a lot of different laws as you're going into other countries. They have very different laws, how you can market, how you can set up distributors, what you can do. There's a lot of things to balance there, and you have to be able to walk a delicate line to where you're compliant and you're legal and that you're still moving forward with your goals and objectives. And so I think that's important. That's something that I think also happens in the city. You've got state laws, you've got local laws, you've got codes, you've got UDOT roads, you've got city roads, you've got a lot of things to balance. And so I think that is something specifically that we would need, is someone who can take all that in and digest it quickly and be able to move forward in a direction that's good for Mapleton. And I also learned another thing about city government. I think you have to be crazy to want to be mayor, because it is a lot of work. And I think anybody that's ever been mayor deserves our respect and our thanks, because it takes a lot of work, and it certainly, they don't get the recognition that they deserve. It is something else to put yourself out there, because there's going to be people that like you, there are going to be people that don't like you. They'll say things that are true and accurate, they'll say things that are not true and accurate, and you just have to weather all that storm. And so I think you just have to have the backbone to be able to do that, and be willing to stand up for what's right, regardless of the pressures internally or externally, and just do what your conscience dictates.
Thank you, Scott. We're going to move on to Claudia, and we'll finish out this section. 2 minutes.
Thank you. Just like Scott, I'm new, right? So I know there's going to be bumps in the road, but I was able to sit with many of the officials of the city, and I was really excited after I met them, because I felt that they are trying to do their best with the funds that they have. Clearly, there is a lot of things that are a problem in our city that we as citizens are not aware of, like how understaffed we are for our fire department and the police, and how money hasn't been allocated for the most important things on our city. For me, I am old school, needs first. That's what I care. That's what I'm going to go and take care of. I do want, if you call the police or the fire department, they're going to be with you. The fire department should be in your house within 5 minutes. And for a long time, they have been really good. And because they, a lot of the things that they have done and go after has been close by. As we have grown, though, that hasn't been the case. So I am worried about that, and I don't think we have given the resources that they actually really need. They need more people. The fire department works with so many volunteers, but they are many leaving and they're not here anymore. And it's so nice that the chief of the fire department is able to, get those resources. But we are a very nice city. We shouldn't be able to be just relying on only volunteers. If my child is drowning, I don't want them to take more than 5 minutes, because that means death. So I'm going to go after all the things that I think they need to get taken care of now, because we need to take care of our citizens. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to, funny enough, everyone keeps bringing up public safety, so fire and police response time. So we're going to move on to public safety questions. These are going to be individual questions. You're each going to have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer them. The first of the question is going to be the same for everybody, and then we're going to switch into your individual question, okay? So the first part of your question is, how do you plan to ensure that emergency response times remain fast and reliable? Okay? And then we're going to start now with Theron. So your first question, how do you plan to ensure that emergency response times remain fast and reliable? And how would you support the recruitment and retention of qualified police officers and firefighters, since we're dealing with a very highly competitive hiring environment? Okay, 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. I love this question. Public safety has a sweet spot in my heart. I definitely know Mapleton's fire department and most of the police department inside and out. The response times, we've been doing awesome, but as the city grows, especially down on what I call the New South, it's become pretty dire. And to me, the number one need right now in the city as far as capital needs is going to be that second fire station down there on the south end. Definitely, I think we should start saving for that. We should start planning for that. Staffing it is going to be an issue. Staffing the current fire station is an issue. Moving on to the second part of the question, that's exactly the biggest challenge we have. People like me who live in town and love this, I eat and breathe emergency medicine and firefighting, are dwindling, coming far and fewer between. We're getting a lot of recruits from the UVU program to come in and be out-of-town volunteers, but as soon as we get them certified, they go get a full-time job somewhere, so it's a lot of turnover. I think me stepping into the role as mayor, which one of the roles of mayor is overseeing HR and staffing, I think I can play a lot better role than I can right now as a city council member and a volunteer in helping guide that HR driving for the fire department.
All right, thank you. So Scott, you're next. How do you plan to ensure that emergency response times remain fast and reliable? And then your question specifically is, what role do you see police and fire playing in building community trust?
Okay, great question. I can speak to this one personally. First of all, to ensure emergency response times remain fast and reliable, I also agree that we need to look at a fire station down south. I think that's critical. I understand our response times down there range from 10 to 12 minutes, which is not the way anybody wants it to be and not our standard in the rest of the city. So I think that's something that we really need to look at. We currently rely on Spanish Fork to respond to some of those. I know that staffing is an issue. As far as getting police and fire involved in the community, I had an interesting interaction with one of our police officers. Actually, he was a guy who gave me a ticket once because I was driving too fast, not paying attention. He was very, very respectful. And then he ended up coming to my house because we were getting some support on an issue we had with one of our children. And it was so delightful to have him in the home because he said, "Hey, do you still have that car?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And yeah, he got me. I had a 95 Corvette, and he gave me a speeding ticket. I said, "You know, you sure were great." He says, "Well, I have to remain professional because you never know when I'm going to be in somebody's home in a support role, and I don't want to make enemies." So I think it's really important that we hire people that have the wisdom to do that in our fire and our police, that they know that they're out there to build the community. They're not just there to enforce standards and beat people up when they step outside the guidelines and step outside the law, that they're there to support them.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Claudia. How do you plan to ensure that your emergency response times remain fast and reliable? And then your specific question, do you believe our current police and fire staffing, equipment, and station coverage are sufficient? If not, specifics on how you plan to change it.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so clearly everybody's talking about staffing, and I spoke with the police chief and the fire department as well. And the main thing is having the equipment that they need, right? And having the people that they need. It really comes down to that. I feel unfortunately that we have been spending the money in other stuff, and I believe that safety should be the number one concern. So the work that I want to do is to, first things first, safety and police, to give them what they need to properly respond to any calls. Clearly, the new fire station will be a necessity, and staffing will be an issue. So it doesn't matter if we have the building, if we're not giving the money for somebody to run the fire department there. So, so that for sure is going to be critical. So for me, it's going to be giving the money where it needs to be given to, use the budget that way. And can you repeat the question really quickly?
Your specific one, or the total? You can
Okay,
save
well,
time for that.
actually, sorry.
Oh.
I have it here. And yes, I mean, we are not equipped. Like, if I invite all the citizens to go and talk to the police department and the fire department especially, and they are not fully equipped on what they need.
Okay, thank you. Dallas, we're going to finish off with you. So the main question, how do you plan to ensure that emergency response times remain fast and reliable? And then your specific question, how will you approach funding for long-term infrastructure and equipment needs, like a satellite station, which has been mentioned, the expansion of the existing public safety building, and any additional fire trucks and ambulances if needed?
Okay. I got it turned off. All right. In fact, the facts are this. Our fire department and our police department are fully staffed, 100%. I talk to them weekly. I know exactly what they need. We just had our budget and finance personnel, which Theron's on. We just reviewed it again last month. The new budget came out July 1st. They are fully equipped. They asked for one new fire engineer on the fire department. We're making adjustments in the budget to get them by the end of the year. You don't just wave a wand and have the money to do it, and they know that. They're very professional. The way you keep response times low is you hire the right people. I'm not on the ambulance. Theron's been on the ambulance in the past. He's been 6% on the ambulance the last several years. It's lowered. He's busy at his job. Him and I have had lots of conversations over that, which is totally fine. But we have to hire the right people. Nick Glasgow has done an unbelievable job. I sat here 7 years ago, and when I learned what was going on in our fire association, I learned that we needed a change, and I did it. And I went to Mayor Leifson in Spanish Fork. I went to Mayor Clyde in Springville, and I said, what would you guys do? And I sat with him, I studied it. I brought on Chief Miguel from Provo, who's a 40-year chief veteran. I brought on Chief Clinton from Springville, 40. I sat them in every interview with me. I asked them every step of the way, what would you do? And it was an absolute success. And for that, we've had people stand here and thank me for saving their lives. It's not me. The council had to vote. And the council has to vote to make those decisions. And they're absolutely staffed. And the other question is, great question. You have to think ahead. What Theron's talking about, luckily, I negotiated with the developer to give us the 2 acres for the apartment. We already own it. They dedicated it to us. That's $2.5 million we didn't have to purchase. So now we can plan for the future on how to build it.
Thank you. All right, guys, so that was our public safety part, and you guys can clap again. All right, take a little breath. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next part here. Scott, you're going to go first with this one. So we're going to have a group question where everyone will answer the same question. That's going to be for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Jessica? So growth and development. Utah is experiencing an affordable housing crisis. How would you balance the need for more affordable housing options with the desire to preserve the small-time character of our city? All right, Scott, we'll start with you, 1 minute and 30 seconds.
That's a great question. I know that there are affordable housing crisis that we're having here. A lot of people can't afford a home. A lot of our children who live in Mapleton can't afford a home. I just had a daughter who bought a home in Mapleton. I was surprised she actually got approved because it was very expensive. It is hard to live in Mapleton. I know that the state is looking at more affordable options. I grew up in Denver. There are different segments of the city where you had homes that were not affordable to everyone and homes that were more affordable to everyone. And I'm not sure that we're required, we are required to have some high-density housing and affordable housing, but we're also more of an upscale community. We knew that when I was in Denver. We knew about Mapleton. I've had people who moved here from Arvada to Mapleton because they loved Mapleton and they wanted to live here. We're not a budget community. We're a community that our property values are higher. And so that's a hard thing to balance. I know that we do have people that have apartments for rent, and they do rent those fairly affordable. That is an affordable housing option, not to own a home, but I was down on the south end today just walking. We have all those apartments who are going in down there. Fortunately, that was planned 10 to 15 years ago, and that has served to provide more affordable housing. But I think it's a crisis just all across the state. It's the price of real estate that's really making it not affordable. And so I imagine we're probably heading towards another little downturn in our price in housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudia, we'll move on to you. Would you like me to read the question again?
Yes, please.
All right, so the question is, Utah is experiencing an affordable housing crisis. How would you balance the need for more affordable housing options with the desire to preserve the small-time character of our city? A minute and 30 seconds.
Honestly, I don't think there is a way. I mean, townhomes here are like $500,000. So it's like, how is that affordable for anybody that was more affordable housing? It is not really. I think as a city, we have tried to do our best with the high density that, in a way, we did in Harvest Park and in the south side. But, I think people didn't move here because they want to be more affordable. Otherwise, they will have moved to Springville or Spanish Fork or Senequin. So, I mean, honestly, I don't see that happening. And people moves here for, like you said, this is more an upscale location. And I do agree, though, that, people that desires to rent their basement, people should be able to do whatever they want with their property. And I think a lot of people have tried to do that in the past to help them, have some money for as an income. And I know they have been able to do Airbnb as well. And I know that I have talked to a few citizens that felt bad that as a city, we are not allowing them to do what they need to do to get some extra income with their properties. So,
All right, thank you. Dallas, we'll go to you. Would you like me to read the question?
No, you're
All
good.
right.
So affordable housing, affordable is relative to all of us in this room, right? So I've spent the last 6 months meeting with the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate, Stuart Adams, and this is a high topic of conversation. My partners and I have leveraged our time and ability and knowledge to them to help them figure this out, and we have some great ideas. And Spencer Cox is on board, and it's a process to go through. I'm super excited about it. So there's a lot for that to come. Speaking of Mapleton in particular, that's what I'm concerned about. They can do whatever they want in Salt Lake, they can do whatever they want in Ogden, they can do that. Mapleton's what I'm concerned about, the general plan and the council. If you don't vote the right council, there's a chance they don't follow the general plan. The general plan, the way it's set up today, will work. The studies prove that it works, not Dallas's opinion as a king. I'm not a king. I'm a mayor offering my services at no cost to this city. And I'm here to tell you that in Mapleton, the general plan that's currently stated is awesome. And it will maintain the feel of what every one of you and what I want. There's no question about it. If it wasn't, I would be spending hours, like I have, that Theron can attest, in hours outside of meetings talking to them to get this right. And we have got it right. Luckily, the council has voted in sync every single time. And Theron's been a great supporter, and he's voted every time that way. And so the general plan is the most critical thing. We've done little things, accessory apartments. We have to fill out a report every year that says we're abiding by affordable housing, and we're doing that. And as long as we're doing that, stay the course. Don't leave the course. They have to develop according to the zones in the city and the ordinances. If they do that, they get to develop. If they don't, they don't. It's that simple. The mayor doesn't make that decision. If they want to change it,
All right.
the council votes on it to change it.
Thank you, Dallas. We're going to move on. Theron, minute and 30 seconds. Would you like me to read the question?
No, thanks.
All right, we'll go ahead and start.
So I'm going to address the affordable housing. I know that there's houses and housing is not affordable. That's just a fact. But I don't know that it's a crisis anymore. I think I've done a lot of studying. I've worked with the construction management. I'm actually working on a master's in the construction management program at BYU, and my thesis is in how to take my manufacturing background and apply it to building homes more rapidly and using manufacturing techniques to bring the cost of building a home down. And in all my studies and research, there are hundreds of thousands of entitled units. That means lots that have been approved for building, but that nobody's building on because nobody's buying those homes. So, and there's lots and lots of those all over the state. Right here in Mapleton, there's tons. The market is what's the problem, I think. And just going to exactly what Dallas said, I think we should care about what happens in Mapleton. And 100% agree with Dallas. Our general plan is what guides us and our control over that affordability of our housing. What we've done in Mapleton over the past few years is creative, is focus more on the ADUs, accessory dwelling units, and allowing more people to do those cheaper so that you can have a second family in your home, and that will bring direct lower costs. Nobody likes their kids staying in their basement, but that's part of our situation that we're in. But if we make it easier for families to do that and cheaper, those are the things that we've already done, and I plan to continue to do things creative like that.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to individual questions in this same category of growth and development. So these are going to be 1 minute and 30 seconds each. Claudia, you're going to go first, and then we'll go down the line. So Claudia, your question, how would you handle a land use application that you believe is consistent with the city's general plan and zoning ordinance, but is experiencing significant public opposition? Minute and 30, yeah, thank you.
A big thing for me is to listen to our citizens, and that's why I think it's very important to maintain the community informed on what's going on and what is happening in our town. I personally would love to see half acres development and no, like smaller than that. I feel we have done so much already with development and having these bigger communities. I feel the general plan is a guideline, but for sure the citizens should have a voice on what it comes to the city and how we decide to move forward. But at the same time, I do believe that people has the right to sell their property and do different things with that, with their property. But my hope as a mayor, if elected, is to go after stopping the crazy growth that we have seen, because everybody moved here for the small town feel and no for another, Provo or Spanish Fork. So I want to keep Mapleton beautiful and quaint.
Thank you. All right, minute and 30. Dallas, you're next. Your question is, how do you propose that the city balance the desire for open space with individual property rights for development?
We have spent, when we did our facilities and parks master plan about 4 years ago, we figured out exactly how much space we need for parks. And what we did is we went and had Sean meet with existing property owners to ask them if they would be willing to do some sort of development agreement now that would protect the open space. We were successful on some. We've secured 50-plus acres of open space in the last 4 or 5 years, which I think is a big deal. We've secured enough for the parks according to our build-out for the park plan to build out the rest of the city for parks. We've done that. We have it today. We could still trade some for others if something came up that was better. So we're doing that. Thanks for that question. You cannot say at the same time that you're going to stop growth, because if you think Mapleton's exempt from Utah County and growing in population over the next 20 years, it's not. People own their property. If they bring it down here and they abide by the laws, the ordinances of this city and the zones, we are obligated to give them the right to develop their land. If you don't do that, that's fine, but you're going to fight a lot of lawsuits that we don't have money for, and you will lose. Hence, the ones that we're fighting for 19 years that I resolved in the first 6 months. I had an attorney on the city council, an excellent attorney, has lots of experience and fought a lot of big battles across this country. And he told me, you'll never get that developer to agree to that. That's too good for the city. And I said, give me a minute, and we did it. That's what I'm about. I'm about doing what's right for the city. If it's not right for the city, I'll fight because I'm fighting on your behalf. I'll fight because it's the right thing to do, because I believe in Mapleton, if it's right for the city, period.
Thank you. All right, our third individual question, growth and development. Theron, what types of commercial development would you support, and how can the city attract that specific commercial development?
Great question. We addressed that heavily in the general plan revision we did a few years ago, and we tried to put more emphasis on adding available space along the highway corridor for commercial development. But what my personal opinion is I think we definitely need a grocery store. Mapleton needs a grocery store, not just for the convenience for our citizens to have somewhere close by to get their food, but to help with the commercial tax base as well. I think that's something that we need. As far as what do we need after that, I think it's to be decided. I think we have really good businesses already in town. We have places and lots and commercial zone already for businesses to come in. I think there are creative ways that a city can entice a business, but I think most people don't realize that that cities do not build businesses. Cities do not say, hey, we're going to put a Target here. That is a market thing that happens. We can provide the land and the zoning for them to come in. They have to figure out whether there's a market here for them and whether they're going to come. But there are tax advantages that a city could do, economic development, things like that I'm open to. But I think we need to focus on a grocery store and key businesses that match our character as a community.
All right, thank you. Okay, Scott, we'll go to you next. And growth and development, your question is, what is one development-related concern that you would like to address specifically? If you could list it. Thank you.
Okay. I only get to do one?
You could do more, but
No,
we're just
that's
asking
fine.
for one specific development-related concern.
Yeah, I know that one big specific development-related concern that a lot of the citizens have expressed is our TDR program. If you remember the TDR program back in, I believe it was 1998, they issued 399 TDRs is when they started receiving applications. They did it till 2010. And that was to keep us from developing the bench. And then we had sponsor sites that would then put their development rights down to receiving sites, and they'd be able to sell that, and that would compensate them for not being able to develop their land. It seems like we are developing the bench a little bit more. I don't know specifically each individual site, so I can't say if that's accurate, that they were receiving sites or not, but I know that that's a big concern, is developing the bench. The TDR program, I was told by several people, we wish we had a way to phase that out, but we have to, like Dallas said, when somebody comes in, they abide by the laws, they have property rights, we have to honor those because individual property rights are sacred in this country. And so sponsoring some type of a buyback program, negotiating with people who have TDRs to see if they would accept something in return for giving up those TDRs would also help us to control our density, because last count I got from the city was there's still 120 of those out there held by about 16 people. So.
All right, thank you. All right, we're done with that part. More clapping, anybody? We got to take breaths. All right, so next topic is going to be budget and finance. So this one's going to be a mouthful. And Dallas, you're going to go first. We're going to do this one for 2 minutes, Jessica, and we're going to incorporate a group question with your individual question, okay? So 2 parts, 2 minutes. So the first part, what are your priorities when allocating the city budget, okay? And then, no, we're going to do 2 minutes. 2 minutes, so what are your priorities when allocating the city budget? And then Dallas, your individual question, how would you ensure that the city is in a strong financial position for the future?
Okay, so the way we allocate the budget, so everybody knows, once a year, we do a city council retreat where the city council goes in a room for 2 days straight. It's a public meeting. You can attend if you want. We create a vision for the year. And we say, what is it that the parks need? What do police need? What do fire need? What does our administration need? We go through every single need, and then we prioritize them. Right now, we're looking at $50 to $55 million worth of projects that we want to do. Well, you have to figure out how to create a vision for those and prioritize. You have to prioritize, reprioritize. And when you get them off the list, you go to the next one. And every year, we may think that something's a priority based on the public outreach and based on the council's opinion. And then if next year it becomes not such a priority, we'll shift. This council has witnessed it for 6 years. They've been on the council. They've seen me do this every single year to find out what are the priorities in the city, what are our needs. And we will continue to do that as long as I'm here, because it creates vision, it creates prioritization for our staff. If you leave them alone with the minimal funds that we have, with the amount of projects that there are, their heads spin in a circle. They'll admit it to you. You have to be able to go out and run it like a business and prioritize to be able to get the things done. Then leverage your relationships business-wise and leverage your reputation to assist in that thing, in whatever we're trying to accomplish, and that's what I've done. That development on the south end that we're talking about, there's $17 million worth of value that they dedicated to the city. I know most people don't know that, but that's okay. That is a fact. Between 5.5 miles of trails that would have cost us about $3 to $5 million to build, 30 acres for mountain bike park, $3.5 million cash to build it, which will allow us to get a grant to match it. We'll have a free mountain bike park for you. Cost you nothing. That's a big deal. in my book. And so we've done that over and over. Sunrise Park, we got dedicated 20 acres to us for a park. Now, we're going to have to pay for that one. That's all we could get. We got 12 acres out of the one on 800 North. So we're doing it now, and now we have to get creative. Sales tax will not fix our income problem. I'm here to tell you, I've studied this. The professionals have studied it. We have to be more creative. Fiber internet. There's other services we can provide, and that's what we're working on.
Thank you. All right, Theron, you're next. So your group question is, what are your priorities when allocating the city budget? With your individual question as, in what instances, if any, is it appropriate for the city to take on long-term debt?
Great. I would just echo what Dallas said on that first part of the question. I think we have a very small budget for the needs and the wants that we have. We have very small business revenue, and yeah, a grocery store is not even gonna touch that very much at all. We've done the studies. Creative revenue is our key, and budgeting and doing exactly the way Dallas has led us is the key. I mean, that's taking on the huge needs and wants one bite at a time is definitely the need. And working together as a council and a mayor is the trick. We have to work together smoothly. We have to not lose the momentum that we've already gotten. And I believe that as I have experience in negotiations and large budgets in my career, I feel like I could step right into that role and continue what Dallas has done all these years and making sure that we have those key partnerships and negotiations to make it right and to make the best deals that we can for the city. My part of the question, is it ever appropriate to take on large bonds for the city? I believe that is short answer, yes. I believe the long answer is very carefully. I think we need to make sure we understand our budget. We need to make sure that we're living within our means. And if we bond for something, it needs to be something that's definitely needed for the city and benefits everybody in the city, as well as an exit strategy and a safety plan to make sure that if we fall short on that bonding, we have a backup plan. That is what every family has to do, and I believe that's what every city should own up to as well.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to Scott. So the first part of the question, what are your priorities or will be your priorities when allocating the city budget? And then your individual question, if utility rates are not sufficient to fund future utility project needs, what options would you consider to bridge that gap?
Okay. First of all, as far as what are the priorities, I think safety should always be our number one priority. I think the safety of their children walking to school, people out on bikes, I think safety is number one. Life is priceless. It's hard to put a price on that. I think that always has to be a priority. But I also agree, it depends on where the city's going. I agree with what Dallas said. That's going to move back and forth. Infrastructure would probably be at the top of the list. Growing revenue-producing services that will help fund the city's budget, I think, should be on the list. Unfortunately, I think the ship has sailed on a grocery store if what I've been told is accurate about they're building a Harmon's across on the railroad track. So I think that's something that we hoped would have happened across from the Maverick, but unfortunately they didn't want to develop that for us. So we'd have to be looking at other types of revenue producing businesses that could bring some revenue. But again, that's property taxes, and we only get a very small portion of property tax, and we only get a small portion of sales tax. So that's not going to be a big hit. Now, as far as if utility rates are not sufficient to build out future utilities, I think we ought to, I know we have impact fees and things that we have put in there. I think some of that could be passed on to the developers. We could require some of that to be built out. We could, in fact, increase our utility fees if we have to. I know we've done that before, but unfortunately, that's just the situation that we're in. If we can't build it out, we have to find the revenue. But it sounds like we have a lot of revenue in the general budget. We can also switch funds, allocate things to make up for shortfall. So again, that's just a decision the city council would have to make. There's lots of different things that you'd have to consider. So.
All right, thank you. Claudia, you're next, and then we'll finish out our budget and finance time here. What are your priorities or will be your priorities when allocating the city budget? And then your question is going to be, how would you balance the community's desire for more or improved public services with the community's desire for low property tax?
That's a good one.
I guess that's a good one.
Of course, safety, as you have heard me already, safety is going to be my main priority, and roads and sidewalks. I feel we have devoted plenty of money to other big projects. Even though I do love fiber, it's going to cost us upwards of $36 million. So I wish that we have put first safety, and then we would wherever we have started working on. So that's really where my priorities allocating will be, beautifying our city and making sure roads are good and are maintained properly. So that's where I think the money should be going. Like everybody says, we are not really a business. We don't make any money. Some of our different departments have tried to be innovative and try to get some money, some revenue, but the reality is like we're not. So as citizens, we have to decide, do we want to be like Provo, like other bigger cities, or we want to be a small town? And I think that decision is going to make the difference, right? And know that eventually maybe there will be increase in taxes because we want to keep a small town feel, and many times that's what it takes, right? How I will balance the public services that everybody wants. Again, I'm all about your needs. Right now, I care about what you need, and after we can go after what do you want. Many times it's like, do you want a rec center? Everybody's like, yes, I do, but what is going to take, right? Like, how much money are we going to spend? Is really a rec center or just office space? So there is many things that I can flash you something pretty and say, yeah, you want that, but what it really entails, there's more to it. So for me, again, go back to the basics, take care of our needs, and then we can dream.
All right, thank you. And that concludes that section, so thank you. All right, you guys need a water break? We good? Okay. All right, this is a mouthful. So this is your group question. You're going to have 1 minute and 30 seconds each to answer the same question. Theron, you're going to go first. And I'm sorry if I keep screwing up your name. My accent's kicking in.
No, you got it.
So
You got it.
I'm Brazilian, and sometimes I just, sorry about that. So, all right, here we go. Your group question. Infrastructure projects, like installing a citywide sewer system in the 1990s, or building new public administration and public safety buildings in the 2000s, require vision and commitment, especially in the face of public opposition. Is there an infrastructure or facility project that you would advocate for as mayor that could provide long-term benefits over the next 20 years? So that was a mouthful. You're going to have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer. Let me know if I need to rephrase or read that again.
Well, definitely right off the bat, speaking to safety first, the second fire station for sure, as far as infrastructure, getting that building built and staffed. Infrastructure, as far as that goes, something that would definitely benefit the city long-term, 20-plus years. Our sewer system, our storm drain system is antiquated and non-existent. We have a big problem when it comes to that. If we had a 100-year storm, we'd be flooding out a big portion of the city. So that, to me, it was pretty evident when we did our recent feasibility studies and studies on the on the storm drain system of the city, and that's a big, risky, scary thing to know that our storm drain system is non-existent. I think we need to definitely start biting that off little chunks at a time and budgeting for that and planning that project and getting it. We don't have an exit for main stormwater in the city. It all just kind of settles in the city, and if we had a big storm, it would pull up. definitely pressurized irrigation, finalizing, finishing that out. We've got a long ways to go still on that, but we've come a long ways. I think that would be my second priority when it comes to infrastructure, probably.
All right. Scott, we'll move on to you. Minute and 30 seconds. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure. That'd be
Oh,
great.
man,
It
I was
a
hoping you'd say
mouthful.
no. I have to
I
read
just
it. I'm
like your
kidding.
Brazilian
No, I'm
accent. I
kidding.
just wanted to.
It's a mouthful. All right. Infrastructure projects like installing a citywide sewer system in the 1990s or building the new public administration and public safety buildings in the 2000s require vision and commitment, especially in the face of public opposition. Is there an infrastructure or facility project that you would advocate for as mayor that could provide long-term benefits over the next 20 years? Minute and 30.
Great. I've been talking to a couple of citizens about this, actually, on 5th West, just north of 1600 South. We have a street that has no storm drains. And when it rains really hard, their basements flood and they have nowhere for the water to go, and they pump it out in the street and then it runs into the field. I think we need to really focus on how we mitigate our floods when they come. I think that's a really important project that we'd have to invest in, some type of water mitigation strategy, because we have a lot of homes that flood in Mapleton. I live in Monte Vista, and every 2 or 3 years basements flood because we have a high water table and there's just issues that haven't been dealt with there. So I think that's a really important project. But I also think I'm thinking long-term. We have families here that need places for their children to find meaningful recreation. I think as far as facilities projects, I think if we could build a skate park, we could do some other parks that would help the kids have somewhere to go other than riding their motorcycles up and down the street and irritating our police chief. I think there's lots of opportunities to come together. We could talk about, if the citizens wanted it, a multi-generational community center that would serve our citizens, would serve our young people, would provide recreational places for people to be, and as a community to gather. That could also be a place for some city offices as well, which I know is a need that we have here. I know there's lots of problems with this building as far as flooding goes as well.
Thank you. Claudia, we'll move on to you. Would you like me to read the question?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Infrastructure projects like installing a citywide sewer system in the 1990s or building the new public administration and public safety buildings in the 2000s require vision and commitment, especially in the face of public opposition. Is there an infrastructure or facility project that you would advocate for as mayor that could provide long-term benefits over the next 20 years? Minute 30.
So clearly, you know me, I'm all about safety. So fire station, for sure, I know they do need a dedicated space, even though right now they do share with the police department. So the police department having their own, and fire department, and hopefully the other fire station up in South, that I think will be, you know, something that I will push for, and as well as sewer and stormwater, like everybody, the drainage system. That's, you know, that's a necessity for sure. I would love to do some housekeeping items like beautifying our city, what we have already. I think we do need more trees. I think we need to have more sidewalks. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be pushing for as a mayor for the next 4 years. But, you know, for sure, once that those housekeeping items are taken care of, I do believe we all like green space. We all want a place for our kids and our community can enjoy. So that for sure will be there. But for me right now will be first things first. Thank you.
All right, Dallas, we'll move on to you. Do you want me to read the question?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
I got
awesome.
it.
Minute, 30 seconds.
Thanks, Carolina. Okay, so just like sewer in the 90s, the admin building right here in the 2000s, the contractor built this building's in the room. He can tell you how difficult it was and how everybody wanted to run him out of here. The city paid $2.5 million to build this building. Had you waited to build it now, it'd cost you $12 to $15 million. That was foresight. Someone's running for council this time who voted for this building, and you can ask him that they brought pitchforks to kill him with it. That's what they did. And they said things to him you shouldn't say to people that are serving the community. But they felt threatened because they were going to go spend money on behalf of the city. Now you rewind the clock and look at it. It was the right thing to do, right move. And today you want to high-five him. That's what you have to have in a leader that's willing to take a step out there, even though someone is against it, if it's the right thing. Eventually, the council has to vote for it. I do that in business every day of my life. I manage risk. That's what I do. And I continually reevaluate it. Now, let's talk about storm drain. Storm drain, this is the thing. 30 years ago, they decided to do sumps in the city of Mapleton, not a continuous storm drain system that exits the city. They made that decision. The ship sailed. So now what we did is went back to the study and said, what can we do to mitigate it? And those projects are on the docket. We just passed the budget that starts the first 2 projects to do that. PI. Everybody told me we're going to get PI. We just negotiated over the last 4 years, working on it for 4 years with CUP, 12 connections to that high-pressure PI line under the trail that we love, and saved about $36 million of infrastructure by getting that. And that takes experience with CUP. That takes knowing who they are, what they're about, what their program is, to go sit with them and really do the hard negotiation to get it. It's done. The first project starts next year. I'm excited about this because everybody says PI is coming. It's not realistic. I'm telling you right now. There will never be money for it. I don't care what you do. If you do not have vision and you do these things ahead of time, we get stuck. And the only way in 20 years when there's a new mayor, it's not me, is he's going to raise your taxes, just like Scott said a minute ago. He's going to raise your taxes and add fees. That's the only way to get it. That's it. So you have to have that vision.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to individual questions. This is going to be for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Scott, you're going to go first on this one. Funding for road maintenance is a significant need in almost all communities. How would you propose that the city enhance or improve our current road maintenance program and funding?
Okay. This is a good one. I had several people I know that sent me pictures. They're concerned about our roads, some of the fiber installation that went in. We still have big gaps in our road. We have kids' bike tires getting caught in there. They've sent me photos 6 inches deep. I think those things should have been covered with the fiber project. That shouldn't be coming out of the road maintenance issue. But I think we really need to look at how we want to develop those. We have Old Mapleton, kind of the north part. They don't want these big parkways and giant sidewalks. They just want a small sidewalk. They want a rural feel. And I think what we need to do is really look at what can make it safe. Do we really need to have a park strip on every street? We don't. And so if we prioritize what we need, looking at the safety concerns first, we can save money. We can build 2 streets instead of 1 street if we're not worried about burying all the power lines and covering up all the irrigation ditches and doing things that maybe aren't necessary. And so I think it's difficult because you have to balance scarce resources, and you just have to really look at what are the priorities. We've got sidewalks that kids need to walk on to go to school, and we have bike paths that would be easier to do than putting in a parkway. So I think it's just a matter of looking at those individually and deciding what is the most important thing and then allocating those resources accordingly. And I did not say we should raise taxes. I said our utility bill might go up if we had to.
Yeah, something has to change.
Yeah, something has to change.
Right.
I just want to be fair.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Claudia, that's going to be your next question then. As the city grows, so does the need for public buildings and facilities. What public buildings or facilities do you see as most important for our future? I think this one's been mentioned, but go ahead. That's the question.
Let me do it again. Fire department and the police, for sure. And then after that, we want to make sure that we have the infrastructure to take care of areas where they service trucks and things like that have a space. I know they are building one for Parks and Recreation next door to us. So I'm grateful that that's being taken care of. So those 2, for sure, will be, I feel, the most important ones. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Dallas, move on to you. What will you do as mayor to ensure that the city has sufficient water for its long-term needs? Minute 30.
So I mentioned earlier, I spent the first 6 months. It was one of the determining factors for me to run for mayor. I've known Mike Miner now for 15 years. He's the president of Mapleton Irrigation. I know Jake Harward, who serves on the Hobble Creek Irrigation District. I know these people, East District. I know the guys at Highline Canal. I've worked with them in many different facets. And they respect me as a businessman, they respect me as a person, and they respect my reputation, so I get down to business with them. I will tell you, you can be offended in those meetings very easily. These are guys that go to the ditch with their shotgun and have for years. It's because it's that critical to them, right? When you have a city that's a farm community and it's turning into a it's being developed into an actual city, you have to be able to manage that right and get that infrastructure in right. And today, the developers pay for 100% of that. That does not cost the city any money. And that'll continue to be the case to be able to solidify that PI. Fiber projects, or excuse me, fiber. The fiber hasn't cost us 36 million. The fiber is 26 million, and it's extremely, extremely successful, and it will continue to be. We patterned it just like Spanish Fork. They have an 89% take rate. They have $8 to $9 million in revenue, and they take a lot of those funds and transfer them to do other projects. The fire department and the police department, let me just tell you, we spent the last 3 years debating this. And our fire chief, Nick Glasgow, and our police chief, John Jackson, we've sat in meetings after meetings to determine what the best way is. Is it to build a central location? Is it to keep this and expand and do that? We've already talked to adjoining property owners. We've negotiated land. All of this stuff is in place. It's going right now today.
All right, thank you. All right, Theron, and this will finish off our section here. The city currently receives its power from Rocky Mountain Power. Would you recommend the city continue to use Rocky Mountain Power, or would you advocate for creating our own power utility? Minute 30.
Yeah, short answer, yeah, I'm very interested in doing that. That's been brought up before, possibly exploring our own power. Looking at Springville, looking at Spanish Fork, and looking at Provo, they all have their own power companies. It's proven, it's statistical that their rates are lower and that they're able to help subsidize their cities with the creative revenue that comes from it. Yeah, definitely, I'm very interested and plan to aggressively look at that.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're done with that section and we're almost done. So we're going to move on to transparency and communication. And then after that, we're going to have our closing arguments. So we're going to have a group question, minute 30 for each of you, the same question, and then we'll have the individual questions like we did the last round, okay? So our group question, Claudia, you're going to go first on this one. How do you define transparency in local government, and how would you put it into practice? In minute 30.
I think we need to over-communicate. Sadly, we care about what happened in our country, but sometimes as citizens, we don't care about what's happening in our city. So I think there needs to be more engagement with the citizens, and any time that we are doing anything to show the information, to share. We live in a time where we have like the internet and Facebook and social media, where it's a great resource for everyone to communicate. So I think there needs to be a better way to do things right now, and sharing what's happening in the city. As well, I think to learn to be transparent with the things that government is doing. If there is even any bad optics for anybody that works in public service, we should be able to, be transparent with what we're doing, especially if there is any business related. And another important thing is for every department of our city to communicate better what's happening in their own departments. And social media, I think it's a great way to do it. So I think we really need to be more engaged and sharing more information and giving more. And I think that's something that is going to be a strength for me, because I am a great communicator and I listen. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dallas, would you
So
like
we
to-
have
okay.
people on our council, thanks, Carly. We have people on our council like Jessica, Leslie, Theron, these people that want this to happen. When I came on here, I felt like I wasn't being communicated to. So we hired a communications director. She's excellent at Facebook, at Instagram. She puts everything on there. If you get on there, you'll see stuff. You'll probably get sick of seeing it because she puts so much on there. From Parks and Rec, we have the same thing. Police has their own. We also populate it from a city perspective. I felt that. I felt that the website was a joke. I couldn't navigate it. We rebuilt the website, and it's excellent now. Let's talk about, real quick, I'm going to try and rush through this. Let's talk about transparency. There's a lot of rumors out there that Dallas is making money off being the mayor. I want to set something straight, okay? I'm going to go through what Dallas Hakes has been paid, $1,029 for reimbursement of a Christmas lunch that I supplied 80 pounds of brisket to the city. There's $2,000 of a landscape bond release from my house when I finish. You give money to the city, they give it back when you finish landscape. There's $27,245 that was paid to a company Dallas owns called Maple 340. We developed the road next to the lake. The two developers next to it, when they tie into it, the city has an ordinance. They reimburse the developer because they used the road. There's $13,000 of the transactions here. Dallas Hakes, Lone Star Builders, owns Lone Star Builders. He did a job that was $28,000 in the city. The city reimbursed him $6,800. It was a puddle in the middle of the street. We didn't have it in the budget. They said we could get some money allocated in the budget. We can't get it now. 8 months later, they reimbursed me that portion. $1,700 when we had a picnic table fly through okay, let me finish real quick because this is very important. This is what everybody came for me for here tonight. This is critical. So 10.
So we'll give
Okay,
everyone.
I'll come back. You're good. Go ahead,
Okay.
Caroline. Go ahead.
All right, so Theron, you're next. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
My definition of transparency in city government and how I would put it into practice, pretty simple. I think it's already been touched on. I think basically we just need to communicate better and more clear and use the avenues that we can, and I think we've done that. Dallas stated we've upped our game in the social media realm. I think we need to continue, though, with our senior citizens to continue to communicate to them more effectively with other avenues besides social media. And I'm a very big proponent of getting back to doing that. As far as other things in transparency, I think we as government need to do more than the bare minimum that the state requires when it comes to divulging any kind of information. One thing that we've already done is bring cameras back into this room. For some reason, there was no cameras in here when I first got on the council, and I think that's a very, very key part of bringing transparency to the citizens so that they can not only watch it live if they are not able to come to the meeting, but also watch it recorded and streamed later on. There's many things about things that go on in meetings that the public aren't involved in. I think being very open to those discussions and making sure we're recording those meetings, and as well as any crucial communication between vendors and things like that need to be done via email so that we can have a paper trail. Those are things that I would say define transparency in government, and that's what I'm planning on doing.
Thank you. Scott, we're at you now to finish off the group question.
Great. I think that, obviously you can't communicate everything that goes on in a city. There's a lot going on. Nobody wants to read through all of that or watch all of that. So I think transparency just means on those key issues, you really need to make sure that the public are notified and know what they are talking about. I know Dallas, he touched on a couple of issues that people think he's making money from the city and doing all of that. I think that a lot of those rumors come from a lack of transparency because people just don't know. I had someone tell me that when Dallas was made mayor, he increased his salary $100,000. And I said, you know what, that's not accurate. I said, as a matter of fact, he doesn't even take his salary. So I think there's just a lot of things out there that when people don't have the information, somehow it gets made up and it fills the vacuum. What I would do as mayor is I would have quarterly accountability meetings to the city. I would report on how we were doing on the budget, how we were doing on proposed projects. I would say these are the challenges that we're having, these are the successes that we're having, and these are the things that are going to come up in the next 3 city council meetings for this quarter. And those would be recorded, they would be sent out to people, they would be able to watch them. We'd also have a transcript. If they didn't want to watch it, they could read it. I just think it's really important that people know why the decisions are made, what the key issues were, and I don't think we do a good enough job of explaining that. We went with this company because X, Y, and Z, and here's the reasons why, and here's why we chose to do this project. I just think we need to be, in a summary fashion, give people the reasons why we're doing what we're doing, so they don't have to make something up. They actually have the information.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to move on to 1-minute answers. So 1 minute, and we're going to have the individual questions. Dallas, you're going to go first on this one. And we are so close, guys. Way to go. All right. Dallas, how would you handle an item of business that comes before the mayor and council where you may have a potential conflict of interest? 1 minute.
Great. I would handle it just like I did Wednesday night at City Council. If you were here and you watched it, you saw what happened. And the City Council voted. I own a company called Rhino Excavating that bid a project. I was not aware of the bid. I'm not aware of any of the bids that they do. I'm not active in that business. That's okay. They bid a job in the city that was $70-something thousand less than the next bidder. In that meeting, we educated how the bidding process works. The bids are sealed, they get delivered with the contractor to the room at the Public Works office. While the contractor's sitting there, they open the bids, okay? So that is what I'll do, and what I told the city council is I said, hey, there's no undue pressure here. I promise you, this $500,000 job won't affect me or won't affect my company if we don't do it. It won't. So if you want to go with the other bidder, that's great, do it. There's no undue pressure, there's no hard feelings. You guys know me well enough, you worked with me for 6 years. I've been kind to you guys from day one, it won't happen. So that's how I'm transparent about it, and the city process makes it extremely transparent if you just come get educated about it. We do this on the, Scott's got a great idea, and we do that with the budget. And in 7 years, I've had less than 10 people show up to budget meetings twice a year for 7 years straight.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, 1 minute. Theron, your question is going to be, how will you engage with members of the public that may not be involved with social media?
Oh, that's a great question. I just touched on that. I think that's where I shine in my skills. What I bring to the table is the ability to and the time that I take to just go and visit people. When people have concerns in the city, and sometimes there's just some people that see something a certain way and that really is a concern to them. I contact them and make an appointment to come to their home and meet with them and get to know them and figure out what it is, the true core problem that they're having. My phone number, my personal phone number has always been available. My personal email has always been available. I am the type of person that if there's a concern or if there is outreach that needs to be done, I will come to your home and I will call you on the phone. I will text you personally. I will make the time to make sure that the people know that I will be a people's mayor.
All right, thank you. Scott, you're next. 1 minute. What ideas do you have to help the public be more informed on topics of community-wide interest?
Okay, I mentioned one, and I think that's a problem that people don't show up. I think we need to get more aware of that. I know we have a text messaging system for emergencies. I think there's a great opportunity there to inform people about meetings or publications that may be going out. I think everybody responds to text. I know it can be expensive if you overuse it, but it could be a small expense that we send out. People get a notice, hey, we're going to be talking about this topic. It has a wide community interest. If you'd like to show up or send in your thoughts, you can do that. So I think that's one that's really good. I think our notices can be posted in the city like we do, but again, how many people come to the city center and read those? So I think just using the technology that people have in their hands every day, whether it be email or texting, is a great way to get out community support.
All right, and Claudia, to finish off, if there's a controversial issue in the community, how would you ensure that all voices are heard before a decision is made?
I am all about controversial. I'm a therapist, so, you see a lot. I think it's just people wants to be heard and listen to every person and respect their point of view. We don't have to agree, right? There's times that people doesn't agree at all, but I think just giving a voice to those that really want to speak and actually actively listening and paying attention of their needs and why are they saying what they're saying, what are their experiences is very important, because I think many times people just wants to be heard, and then we can have a conversation once that they feel respected and that their voice are being heard. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, we made it. We're down to closing statements. All right, so going in line like we've been doing, Theron, you're going to go first, then Scott, then Claudia, then Dallas. We're going to have 2 minutes each, so this is your chance, closing statement, and we'll start with Theron now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so encouraged by all of the people in this room. 6 years ago, 10 years ago when I got involved, this is not the crowd we had, and I'm so encouraged by it. Government doesn't stay humble on its own. It needs the people. It takes everyday citizens showing up to meetings, and it takes citizens showing up to events around the city. That's what keeps a small town grounded, no matter how much it grows. I have consistently dedicated many hours a month of my own life for the past 10 years to serving this city, community service. I've served in different departments. I've learned and gained understanding of how this city works in all of the different various departments. I've done it because I believe in this community and what it can become. Mapleton has grown fast, a little bit too fast. in some ways. It's time for a fresh perspective, I believe. We don't need, we need business experience, but we also need people experience. A mayor who knows the city, who knows the people, and is ready to lead. I know the budget, I know what it can do and what it can't do. I know the departments, the staff, and their limitations, and their needs, and their worries. A mayor's job is to oversee the day-to-day operations of the city, to represent Mapleton, and to let the voice of the people guide the vision of the city. That's how I'll lead, and no personal agendas and no self-interest, just service. I never set out to run for this office. It wasn't a goal of mine. I got involved because I saw a need. I've kept showing up. My career has given me the real-world experience in business, negotiation, legal issues, and working through critical HR matters. I've always led in meaningful ways, professionally and in the community. Right now, I believe Mapleton needs a leader who knows what it takes, because I've already been doing that work. I'm not running for me, I'm running for you. And I'd be honored to earn your vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and clap for each closing statement. All right, Scott, you're next. Closing statement, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Want to thank everybody for being here. This has been a unique experience. Everybody should have the opportunity to be up here and see what it feels like. It's quite an experience. I just want to say I believe that Mapleton is a great place to live. I love being here. I moved here 12 years ago, and when I went to the website, it wasn't what it is today. It was one page written on Mapleton City letterhead that said, "We are committed to preserving the rural feel of Mapleton." That's why I chose to come here. Since then, our growth has been, it's been crazy. Under Mayor Wall, we grew 28% from 2010 to 2018. Since 2018 to 2025, our growth rate is 49.3%. I know that as I go and I talk to people in the community, that's what they're really concerned about. I know the general plan is in place, and depending on who you talk to, that's going to build out between 27,000 and 35,000 people. If it's 27,000 people, our density, our population density will be like Springville. If it builds out to 35,000 people, it will be just like Provo. So my question is that what everybody wants? That's what the general plan commits us to. That's the density that we're looking at. So if everyone's okay with that, then we can continue to move on that way. But if we want change, we need to maybe get a fresh start. I don't have any business interests in Mapleton. I know that's another concern that we have, and that's probably not fair to you, Dallas. But people feel like if you are the mayor, you shouldn't be involved in projects that are benefiting the city. So pick one or the other. That's how people are feeling. I also think we need to look after our senior citizens. I think we need to take care of some of their needs. I know we do a luncheon for them, and we have the gym downstairs. I have my in-laws that live with me. They're elderly. They could benefit from having more community events where they could go and interact with other people their age, and it would help their mental health and their well-being greatly. So all in all, this is not an anti-anybody campaign. I'm a pro-Mapleton campaigner, and so I hope to get your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Claudia, we'll go to you. Closing statement, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I am very excited to be here, and thank you all for being here today. It is very exciting. We live in great times. So, again, what am I running for mayor? Everybody has been asking me why. Some people has called me crazy, and maybe they're right. But it's because I want to make a difference. I am a mom. I am a neighbor. I care about communities, and that's why my career it's helping people heal and have a voice. I am excited about making a Mapleton for my children and my children's children. I am excited to give the city what they need right now and plan for the future with what we have and know what we hope to have. I am old school that way. I care for the needs, and then we can go after the wants. I do not want people that were paying, 20 years ago from $800 in taxes to now $8,000 in taxes. I want everybody to be able to stay in their homes and be happy. We are a unique community, and it's the people that makes this community amazing. I want to make sure that everybody that lives here is proud of our community and that we are taking care of the needs of everyone, that we can listen to our citizens and that we can help educate our community as well. I am excited to be your mayor. I hope that I can count with your vote. Again, the little side is that I'm the only girl here, and I haven't owned any business. I was a single mom for a few years, and I know how to budget. I know how to get things done. And I think that is the difference. With little, I have accomplished a lot. So I hope to do that for Mapleton. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Dallas, we'll finish off. Closing statement, 2 minutes.
Thanks, Carolina. I think you've done a great job. Since I started 7.5 years ago, I have invited every person that's ever had a complaint with the city council, with the city staff, with anyone in the city to come meet with me. Less than 10 people have taken me up on it. Every one of those individuals have left, have brought real concerns. I've had a conversation with them. Every time I've met with Rick Silva sitting in the front, I keep looking at him like, Rick's one of those people. Thank you, Rick. And every time we can either agree to disagree or we can both decide, you know what, now that we understand where you're coming from, that's a pretty tough decision. And I'm glad I don't have to make it. I'm leaving, right? So that's what they get to do. It is not as easy as it looks sitting up here. You have family, friends in the room when decisions are being made, and you have to make the tough decision. You have to have the backbone for the right reason to make that decision, no matter what is best for the city. I do have businesses in this city, there's no doubt. I would take a person that's a business person that has business interest 10 times over. You know why? Because he's committed to this community above and beyond living maybe on an 8-acre parcel and having other interests in the city than someone else that may not have quite an interest in the city. I can stand here before you today and I can guarantee you there's no one in the city that has a higher interest and is more passionate about this city and making it successful than me. We talk about power, you asked the question. I started the process 2.5 years ago. I've met with all the mayors. We can generate $18 million in power and we'll have excess revenue about $4.5 million. When this city's built out, we're talking $35 to $40 million. That is above and beyond anything we'll get out of sales tax. And I will not be here. I will be here for the rest of my life if I can. And I do not want to be here and be the one in 20 years when you say, hey, you dummy, you were there. Did you think Mapleton was exempt from the growth that's coming to Utah County? That's really silly to think, you being in that business. No. So then you do it the right way. You set up the general plan. You get the guidelines. You make sure that people live and develop by the ordinances, by the zones that we have set up. And then you leverage everything you can on behalf of the city. And that's what I've done and I'll continue to do. I don't have to do it. I will commit another 4 years of my salary, not taking it. I'll do that right now tonight, and I'm happy to do that. If you don't want to milk me for all I'm worth, I promise you, my wife will settle down a little bit. My wife might probably be happier, and I'll go do that. But thank you.
All right. Appreciate everybody coming. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. The goal is 8 o'clock. It's 10 after, so we did pretty good. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you, candidates, for being here.
Thank
and
you.
We'll see you next time. I guess tomorrow night, there's the council debate or forum, so you're welcome to come to that tomorrow night. Thank you.